Ohio gozaimasu, Paul-san. It's good of you to find time to record this while in Japan. There's a 9-hour time difference, but I'm nocturnal, so it all works out.
Wait, where am I? How did I get here? I thought I was in Japan doing Japan things. My brain is not working. It must have been the jet lag.
Quick, name some Japan things to do. Eat noodles, something unique to Japan.
Sushi.
Yes.
Go to Nintendo Land.
Watch an anime.
History. Snow monkeys. Onsen. Sumimasen. That's like the only thing I need to know in Japanese.
Yeah, that works. That works.
And then just act befuddled, which is a general kind of state that I am in almost constantly, so I'll feel right at home.
Welcome to Bloodballed, the visualized podcast hosted by Christian Von Carmian and Paul is bad at stuff. Today we're going to talk about expansion books in 40k. So we've got campaign books, we've got crusade books. Codexes are also sort of expansions, if you want to talk about the codexes. And we do want to talk about the Crucible of Champions, which is the coolest thing to come out in a long time. But we have these supplement books. Do we even need the books when so much stuff is there online? I'm not talking about leaks, but I'm talking about, like, from the, say, 500 Worlds campaign, all of the detachments were free online from Games Workshop before the book came out. That feels like the book isn't necessary.
Yeah. So I guess that's a question of, if they put all the rules out online, right?
Yep.
And they still have a book, what's in the book? I guess it's going to be fluff, and it's going to have some missions in there, and it's going to have some cool pictures.
Yep, 5 missions, a map, a fold-out map. I think a lot of the lore was also copied into White Dwarf. So if you got White Dwarf, you don't need the 500 Worlds book for the lore.
But it looks pretty.
It's very expensive for pretty book, but yeah.
It is, but I mean, that's the kind of thing. It's similar with, like, I guess, like a D&D book, right? Like, how much of the DM's guide have you actually read? How much of the player's guide have you read? Probably not all of it, but it's nice to look at. I buy a lot of D&D type books, which is like, oh, here's a collection of different dungeons. So I haven't read them all, but it's nice to have them on hand. And also pretty pictures. I'm very simple. But it does sound like the fact that they put all of the detachments online and didn't lock that behind the cost is good. That's the core bit of the game that you need.
That's the bit that would get leaked.
The other stuff.
And people would be using that as leaks rather than buying the book.
Yeah.
Understandably. Whereas it's taken a while for the missions to get leaked. It'll be the same with the Maelstrom.
Yeah. It's probably because, let's be honest, not many people are going to play them. Well, people do want to have, but people are going to play the detachments because that's simple. That's something you can do quite easily by going, I've got my army, I've got my models, I can just attach them to this detachment.
Yep, Bastion Task Force.
With the missions and stuff, you've got to actually get the mission and set up a game, but that requires more effort. When most people are probably, if you want to do a pickup game, just like, oh, we'll just use the cards because it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the cards. The cards are good for, I know how this works, I know how it's going to be. There's a variation you've got. You can add twists if you want to add twists. And the games play similar but different enough. I mean, these missions in, like, the 500 Worlds are rather fun. I played it's like a landing deep strike thing where you start with a few units in the center of the board. Your opponent is in the corners. Some of the corners depending on the campaign and how far you are through the campaign, because it is a campaign mission. And then they've got to, like, swarm you before your reinforcements drop in. All the objectives in the center. It was fun and different.
I think it's one of those things where I think, like, because I've kind of had this conversation before, the fun and different things, I feel like those people who would get into that stuff might also be making their own missions with their friends, and therefore may not need them. But I do like the idea of having that kind of spread. It's a case of finding the time and place to do that, especially for someone like me who plays a lot of, I basically play most of my games at this point at tournaments because that's what I have time for. And it also feeds back into the channel, right? So they're not going to be doing the fancy missions. And I'd love to try more, but it's just kind of a case of timing, right? But then there's going to be groups of people who that is their whole thing, which it works for.
I used to make my own missions, but there's just been so many supplement books and support books. Like, the Crusade books have, like, 12 missions in them.
Yeah. And I did play the first Crusade, and some of those missions are quite fun. They're definitely they're different, which is cool. And I think it's just a case of I like the idea of stuff like the 500 Worlds and the Maelstrom supporting that kind of game style, and then just going, well, the detachments is going to support every game style, so just give them to everyone. And then if you want to support
assuming you play
game style of the campaign,
those armies.
There you go. Yeah, so you play those armies. But I mean, the point being is that the detachments you could use in a tournament.
Yeah.
But you're not going to go to a tournament and play one of those weird missions.
That is unlikely, because it sort of has campaign mechanics built in. And you've got to strip them out to try and play the game, which takes mild effort. Whereas Crusade missions, you can just take them from the book. You don't need to do any special adapting. There's no, oh, this Crusade army has this value depending on how far you are through your Crusade. It's just another mission that's slightly different to the norm, noticeably familiar enough. They also have them in White Dwarf.
Are there any missions? Because I know with the Crusade, obviously, First Crusade wasn't as much, but I know the other Crusades had a lot of different kind of mechanics around it. Like there was one that had like the attacker-defender system.
Oh yeah, that was fun for Prior Nexus. That was just a rock, paper, scissors thing. If you really wanted to be defender, because you knew from some of the missions like the attacker goes first, so you could try and game it a little bit so that you could go first or second, depending on your playstyle. Armageddon is more difficult because those missions have demons like in the middle of the table, and they have their own turn, and they are going to charge you before the first turn of the game. That's less fun, but you can remove them.
Yeah, the only thing that links back from the missions to the actual Crusade is the Victor bonus.
Yes, that's right.
Nothing else is like, oh, if you're this unit in your Crusade roster is on the battlefield, you get XYZ. It's only just the Victor bonus.
I don't think there's any mention of like the underdog.
So yeah, obviously they can be just taken straight away.
Yeah, and the Nakmud, you have the awkward thing of like, oh, some part of your army needs to be in reserves, and it's specified. So you can ignore that. But the first two Crusade books definitely, Pariah Nexus, Leviathan, they work, especially Pariah Nexus. So there's so many missions to play anyway. You don't need to make your own ones.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of finding the right place for them, because there is such a huge library, and I think the thing with it is that because the cards are so easy and universal, you have to obviously pre-plan for playing a different thing, which means pickup games are slightly harder unless you obviously can redo that. But when I say pickup games, you always think about it someone with a stranger or someone you've not played before, and when you're doing that, like the path of least resistance, I always find is better, because then at least you're not trying to shoehorn in extra stuff with someone you're not familiar with, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things with these Crusade books and campaign books is there's a lot of them. There's a lot of missions for a very kind of specific user group, and
they can be
rather than be
unbalanced. I don't mean like rules unbalanced. I mean like attacker and defender have different setups.
Yeah, and it's also, I think it's the kind of people who are within a group of friends who play this kind of stuff. That's kind of their jam, right? They're not people who go to tournaments.
Yeah, you don't have to do the Crusade. You can just play the missions.
Exactly right. But I think it's one of those ones where rather than adding more of these kind of missions, and I don't think this is something Games Workshop can really fix, but I'd like to see that kind of be more universal. But that's not something a GW can fix, really. So it's nice that they have a lot of options, right? A lot of variety, that especially towards the end of an edition where people are probably wanting to try new and different things.
Well, yeah, the fatigue of an edition tends to set in about halfway through, assuming that you are someone who plays loads and loads of 40k. If you play once a month, then you'll be on your 30th game by now of the edition.
Yeah. I feel like the way that kind of fatigue sets in is obviously it starts off, everything's nice and new and fresh, but then towards the end of that first year, people are like, okay, there's a few problems. Then the second lot of new mission stuff comes around, and people are like, okay, this is cool and different. But because it's not massively different, the fatigue sets in a bit earlier. And then the third time around is usually when they get quite a good set of missions or good catch-up mechanic, and they kind of get that right. So it lasts slightly longer than as you get towards, I think, probably
so it's like the changing mission cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
when you're approaching June, when you're in the year that the next one's going to come out, people are like, all right, let's get onto the new thing. And that's when these campaign books are actually really good timing, because you just chuck a bunch of cool new stuff at people.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, because they've come out very quickly. Because 500 Worlds was announced in November, and then it came out in January. Maelstrom was announced in January and came out the last day of February. Then we've got the Eye of Terror announced in February, coming out, in April, May? And with an Orc Warboss leaked, it's possible there might be an Armageddon campaign before the end. And that could come out in May.
Yeah. And all the cool new stuff they brought out, like all of the Corsair stuff is great. The new Defiler looks awesome.
I think it's fine. I've never liked a Defiler, but yeah.
I mean, let's be real. I am the guy who likes Centurions. I like, I like all the jank stuff. I like the Nundums. I like all the stuff that no one else likes. I love the Defiler because as a kid, when that came out when I was young, I was like, my God, that's literally the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then when I started playing again, I was like, my God, it's still cool, but it's also 20 plus years old. And then they brought a new one out. I was like, well, I need to play Thousand Suns now because I was the Thousand Suns Defiler.
Yeah, they've got the weirdly shaped cheekbones of the Defiler Thousand Suns head. In theory, I'm assuming that it's going to be in the Eye of Terror campaign supplement. There'll be rules to have them in every different faction of Chaos. Yep. So that's the 5 factions, generic Chaos Marines and the 4 gods. Yeah. And that'll be free.
11th will come out and it'll be completely different.
Yeah.
Possibly, maybe.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
Maybe slightly different, or they may be compatible. We won't know until... Well, I don't know. After we're recording this, at least. Maybe by the time this goes out, we know the first bits of it. Like, if we're going to be essentially continuing with 10th edition with some extra bits, or if we're doing a more heavy refresh, and 40k rarely gets refreshed that much.
I would assume, and we've had this conversation before, but I'd assume it would be a fairly standard thing. But hey, at least they'll release a book for it.
There'll be a new core rulebook.
We love books.
Yes.
But... To do the segue, what will the codexes look like in 11th edition? Speaking of the fact that, we've got stuff like the campaign and the campaign and crusade books where they put the detachments online and everything else in the book. Do we think that in 11th with the codexes, they'll do a similar thing where they put the rules online and then have the actual book be more of the fluff and the pictures and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, they did seem to actually remove a lot of the fluff in last edition. Because they used to be in, say, a 6th edition, 5th edition codex, there would be a page which had the unit rules and a whole page dedicated to its lore. Later on, there would be the profile in the separate section, like elites go here, and it reprints the profile with the points. We just get like a paragraph of lore for each unit now, which doesn't seem as much. So they
units get less, but the army gets more.
Yeah, there's an explanation of how the army works, what it does, and then it's like, oh, we go on crusades and stuff. And are we Black Templars? Are we Space Marines? Are we Battle Sisters? And how they're slightly different kinds of crusades.
Yes.
So, and Mech also crusade.
I think that's the thing with a lot of, I mean, codexes especially, but all of these things, it's books and the kind of printed media is less desirable now. Especially with phones the way they are. Like to be honest, the 40k app is pretty decent.
It's decent.
Apart from the fact that obviously it locks all of the rules for every single unit unless you have the codex behind a bloody paywall.
And it doesn't have legends, which like the Age of Sigmar one does.
Yes, but whenever I have a rule query at a tournament, I can search and it comes up pretty quick, which is very nice.
Yeah, I have found that was quite useful.
And if for the profiles I do have for Space Marines, it's very easy to find out all the profiles and the rules and stuff. It's very, very nice. It works well, and that is a much better and much easier to update format for giving unit profiles and rules in.
And detachments.
And attachments and all that lovely stuff, stratagems, all that wonderful stuff, which makes the books as a rule
rule resource. It's the one version that was printed a year and a half ago.
And probably printed wrong.
Or 2 years ago. I mean, I can't use that for Gene Stealer Cult, because it's not accurate. Most of the units are the same, most of them, but the way the army rule works, the stratagems, they've changed.
The 9th edition Drukhari Codex on release said that Reavers were 10 points each.
Good
10
for
point
them.
jet pikes, not 20, which is very funny. I've been to a tournament, I've been to several tournaments now, you'll be surprised here. No one has their codex with them. No one pulls out the codex and goes, let me consult the tome. They just have it on their phone. Or they printed it out. That's the other thing people do.
Yeah, I did that for the index especially. When they were easy and pretty and you had it immediately. Just print out the pages I need. There we go. There's my unit. Or combine 2 pieces into one.
I used to carry my codex all the time, but now I don't. I was like, I'm not taking this out of my bag the whole time, so I'm just going to use the app.
Yeah. Even in like 6th or 7th edition, we're talking like 10 years ago when I was playing, I also printed out the pages from the totally real, accurate, definitely the codex that I bought version. That was leaked online. Because Games Workshop has leaks online for all of the rules. Why not get ahead of it and just say, here's the official version. Yes, it's free. Come to us. Stop looking at r/insert faction name to get your leaks.
Yeah. I mean, even like putting all of the data sheets and all the detachments, like obviously not the ones that they release online, but all of the ones that are currently behind the Codex label, put it behind Warhammer Plus. If you're going to take money, you might as well take a little bit of it each month. Like that would be more palatable. It's not ideal, but again, as a business, that's probably a decision that would be more palatable to them than trying to force you to buy.
As long as they then gave you everything. Like every faction, every unit. Yeah, okay. I can see that for the more dedicated players. I mean, Warlord Games does a similar thing. Although Warlord Games app is for all the game systems. Like you want to do SPQR, you want to do Bolt Action, you want to do Conflict 47. There's just one app.
Yeah. And then the books get to have more like stuff like painting guides, stuff where pictures are useful.
Yeah, dioramas.
Like that kind of stuff. And I think that would be a better way. I know that Age of Sigmar had a weird one, which I don't think went well, where they had like 2 books where one was just the rules and one was the full thing or something like that. It was a weird system.
And these were both printed. Because if people had like just the rules digitally and it was a different price, they might be more okay with that. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, it was like some random...
I've basically dropped Age of Sigmar for this edition. I've played like 2 games and it was fine.
Yeah, the Battle Tome Gamers Edition, which is it comes with the cards and then just the rules. So it's like half the Codex and the cards, I think.
Was this something you get in shops, or was it a special order?
Yeah, they sell it alongside the Codexes.
All right, okay.
So you can either order the Battle Tome for Luminous Realm Lords, or the Battle Tome Gamers Edition, which is like cards plus half a book, essentially.
And is it cheaper or the same price?
Looking at this, if you bought the full Battle Tome and the cards separately, it's £59.50, or it's £52 for just the cards and half a book, so it's not even that much cheaper, so it's not even that much of a saving.
Yay! Okay, that is also very expensive for rules when we're like, £50? Oh, I think you mean wait for 3 weeks and it'll be available online.
Yeah, because it's not even, it's like, it's £52 to get the rules in 2 different form factors, basically.
Yeah, because the cards are also, here's your units.
But the cards are just an easier to carry version of the book, so why wouldn't you just buy the cards, unless the cards have something? I don't know. Age of Sigmar players, I'm sure you can tell me why the thing is a thing.
Well, you have the cards, so you can move all the cards that you're not using away, and then you just use the rule book to reference like your army rule and things, and then you have the unit cards there. Assuming that you've kept up with all the updates and used your black marker to change your health characteristic, and anything else,
which is a better name.
Changed up. Well, yes.
But they count it up.
I know.
Why? They count damage tokens. It's like the number of damage tokens is equal to the health, then it dies. But you've just called it... Never mind. That's a rant I've done a couple of years ago.
I'm with you. I like it as health, but having a health points remaining makes sense. Why not call it health points? We know what health points is. I think we've complained about this together before.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they'd be better off, at least for our point of view, don't care about the corporate side. We'd be better off if there was, buy a digital version, and separately, you can have the book. Don't know if they want to do that. But I do like having the book. I know some people are like, oh, it should be all digital only. They're on the internet, the digital place. Having a shop where you can go in and buy the book and hold the book and keep the book, and the book is precious and it doesn't become lost media, that's nice.
You can't hit someone over the head with your phone and do much damage, but those codexes are pretty chunky.
You'd have to bring like a tablet.
Hardback covers as well. You could really just like bonk on someone.
Oh, and there'll be collector's editions. I have a couple of collector's editions where I got the second hand. It's like, turns out this is number 8 of 40,000.
Oh yeah. Books cool, have cool stuff in, but also modern time book need more purpose when rules elsewhere is a very badly worded summary.
Yeah, there's some value to having a book, but when most of that, even the stuff you might want, is going to be leaked online, the gamers, don't necessarily need a gamer edition. We can just get it. They might be producing too many of these campaign books, because I know I've just said, like, here's 3 off the trot. If you played the 500 Worlds campaign, and it's going to take about 3 months, which is what it advises, I'll have to double check that. That means you're not going to have enough time to play any of the Maelstrom campaign, before you then have the Eye of Terror. So I guess it's whichever ones you want, but you can't play them all, which means there may be too many.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to like what we said, like who these books are for outside of the detachment rules. Those are the kind of players who probably want to do the full campaign. And so they're going to be very busy, that's for sure. Like, you should, like, if they were going to do this way, it would have been nice to spread it out over an edition. But obviously, I guess there is plans. Because it does seem like some of this is kind of testing for 11th. There seems to be a lot of those squads, which are like made up of lots of individuals, and they all have different stuff going on.
Yeah.
They had the
Titus's friends, and then we've had Huron's friends.
Huron's friends. It seems like that's the kind of thing where if they do a Court of the Archon again, or a Beastmaster again for Drukhari, that's the kind of template. That's the template they made for it.
Yeah. It's awkward things like Huron's entourage doesn't have the character keyword, so the Corpse Master Apothecary type can bring back those characters because they're not listed as characters.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's very much just a, get up, you fool. What are you doing down there?
With these, we're saying like they're coming out for 11th edition with these campaigny book things. The last 3 books, which is Eye of Terror, Maelstrom, and 500 Worlds, are not Crusade books. We've had the 4 Crusade books with Crusade mechanics and Crusade tables where you can level up your troops, which is separate to a campaign. Do we panic, Paul, and think they're going to drop Crusade entirely in 11th edition?
I don't think so. It is weird. The timings on the campaign, on the Crusade campaigns were weird, though, right?
Yeah, because
the first one came out in June 2023.
Yes, that was Leviathan.
January 24.
Yeah, that's right, because it was announced at the end of 23. Then it was nearly a whole year before Nakmud came out. And then another...
yeah, because that was...
Oh, it was more than a year.
More than a year. And then Armageddon came out like straight after that.
Yes. So maybe they just did a very bad release schedule for that.
I think maybe they just... Maybe they had this 500 Worlds Maelstrom stuff. They were like, we've got that for the end. Oh, wait, we've made a 4th campaign book to go there. Shove it out the door quick.
Yeah, we need this lore to have happened. There we go. There's an extra War of Armageddon. It's done.
I don't think they'll drop Crusade, right? Because I think Crusade is interesting.
It's good. It's a nice system.
Nice system, and I think with like removing it would be weird.
Yeah, especially if 11th and 10th are going to be compatible. Then it's just what you just continue on with the books you had, replay Pariah Nexus.
I feel like they wouldn't remove that entire kind of side of the game when they've built up quite a lot of library intent and done a lot of work to make it quite interesting. And it's still a thing in Age of Sigmar as well and other games, so I imagine they'll carry on doing it. I think they just had a really weird release schedule for it, and I'm not sure why. But I imagine it'll be... For me, it would make sense if they did yearly like they do with the other side, right? Do it kind of side by side.
Yeah, if it was every Christmas, which maybe was the plan. Like every January, new Crusade book.
Yeah, and they kind of just messed it up or something. I don't know, it was weird.
Oh yeah, come out alongside the cards. That would have made more sense.
Yeah, they come out alongside the cards each year where like, oh, this is the new kind of season of Warhammer. This is the theme.
Yeah.
Because the themes were the same at the start, right? Because it was Leviathan and...
Yes, Leviathan and Leviathan, Pariah Nexus and Pariah Nexus. Then
Pariah Nexus, and then they just went
Nakmud and also
26.
25, 26, yeah.
Which I guess that leads to a showing that they're kind of going down separate paths with those things more.
Yeah,
where they can decouple those things, which might actually be beneficial.
Nakmud was quite a divergence in terms of the basic rules. With this sideboard of like, you have an army that's, say, 2,500 points, but you only play with 2,000 points of it.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe that is a good way to go, is have those two more separate.
Could be.
Because then you're not... Because then you're not reliant on the release schedule of one for the other, right? So let's say you get to the second year of 11th edition, and the theme is spaghetti, and the lore guy side is like, oh, we haven't actually got the spaghetti cooked. The pasta is still too al dente, but we have to release it side by side. If you can separate that and decouple it, then you can have kind of more things coming out more frequently rather than kind of having one like yearly big thing, right? Which might help. And also helps like maybe implement different times that you can do model releases, because you go, oh, this is our like new campaign. It's about this guy who loves spaghetti. Here's the spaghetti mini.
Yeah.
You can tell how much I know about lore because I couldn't think of any possible lore, so I just went spaghetti as a.
You could have gone with noodles. It has Japan as a theme.
True.
It separates the noodles from the lasagna. No, the noodles from the spaghetti.
Yeah, I forgot that was the whole concept of this video because I'm knackered. I'm knackered like Knackman.
Yeah, you played a lot of tournaments and then gone to Japan.
And then gone to Japan.
Yeah, so they're very different, the Crusade books and then the core books, which I know is what we said is good because you have two separate audiences, but it also makes it more difficult for people who are playing generic baseline 40k to play a random mission from Crusade and still find it interesting and not have to learn 5 extra army construction rules. But then we have in the Maelstrom book, the Crucible of Champions, which is something we had in 8th edition. So it predated the Crusade, because that came out in 9th edition, where you make your own special character.
Yes.
That's a cool thing. People keep asking me if it's going to be in the app. It's not going to be in the app, nor released online. But it is on the new Recruit app. They now have the rules so you can add these units to your army, and the points and the options will be correct. It was leaked the day before the pre-order of the book, but I don't know how long these rules are going to last, if they'll continue into 11th edition or not, because people are wanting to convert the model. The rule is, if you can build the model, you can use the rules and custom weapons for it.
If you already have those models from previous things, then it's great. You can kind of make your own thing. And also, you can be kind of generic with some stuff, like pistols. Even on characters that have pistols, half of the time they're hidden anyway.
Yeah, I think it says you should use a holster. You have a holster for the pistol to represent the pistol. I know you don't care as much because there's no Centurion option. So far, this could be expanded on.
Yeah, the thing with these rules, okay, they're kind of cool. For example, the Tech Marine that Steve made me is would technically be like a Gravis jump pack, which you can actually make. So I could make a heavy jump pack, give it the Blessing of the Omnissiah with all the weapons, and then I have that model represented properly. And I could join Inceptors, which I don't own, but it could. I may get some Inceptors, they seem really cool. Also, there isn't a Centurion one, but honestly, it doesn't seem like it's that difficult to just make it, because I think the specialism is basically just choose a unit type. Your character gains that stat line.
Yeah, and some of them have an extra points cost.
Extra wounds, and it's an extra point cost. Like the bike is 15 points, Terminator armor is 15 points, make the Centurion armor 45 points or something. And then the ability, it's all just the abilities you get in characters, so...
Yeah, and then you can lead Centurions. There you go, there's your Centurion character.
And you can lead Centurions, and then in the weapons, you just go, here are the weapons the Centurions get. Because it's all the weapons that are listed, just weapons that all the characters get. Or all those units get, right? And it just starts with, like, you can only do this if you're on a bike, because it's a bike weapon. And then the Dreadnought one, I think the only thing you can do with a Dreadnought one...
Dreadnought has its own list of weapons. You have to pick from that list.
Yeah, so I think but you can do a Ballistus Las Cannon with a Redemptor Fist. That's about the only difference you could do between
what
just
you
making
can
the regular one.
Because it's sort of a mix and match. Well, currently we have for the...
Unless you're a Brutalis.
For the tall boys, yeah, there's the Brutalis, which is the claws. There's the Ballistus, which is the las cannon and missile launcher. And then there's the Redemptor, which is the more generic one with fist and cannon.
Yeah.
You can mix it up. And like the old Dreadnought, current Venerable Dreadnought could, which we now call the Dreadnought, because they just sell the Venerable Dreadnought kit. But you can have like a twin las cannon and a Redemptor fist, and that can have the mini Gatling cannon. And also, you can have the Brutalis chest-mounted multi-melters.
Yes, but you can't have... If you have Brutalis Fist or Talons, you can't have the las cannon, Gatling cannon, or Macroplasma. So you have to... Basically, if you're using a Brutalis, you're basically using a Brutalis.
Yeah, otherwise you can mix between the Ballistus and the Redemptor. So yeah, have twin las cannons and a fist. Or missiles and a fist. It doesn't matter about that one. But it's just a weird thing. You can have 2 multi-melters and also the twin las cannon and also the missile launcher if you want, and then a big gun, well, smallish gun on the top.
Yes. But yeah, for me, the rules are cool, but also, again, this is kind of, I think because it is just you're basically mix and matching all the current like leaders within your thing.
It's easy
There's a lot
to
of cool
break.
stuff in there, But I feel like it's not so much it's easy to break. It's also I feel like there's not as much unique stuff you could do with that system.
Ah, right. Whereas in like Crusade, you can have, oh, he has a super special sword which has +1 attack and +1 AP, and
Yeah,
also can advance and scout. Can scout 9 inches.
You could really split out a lot of things. Like, for example, lethal hits, right?
Yeah.
Which is a thing where it's like, you choose the ability to get lethal hits, but then why isn't there an option to do sustained or depths, right? Because the lethal hits one is already on lieutenants.
Yep.
Right. So they've just put all of those into one thing where you could do more with it, but also, again, the more you do with it, the more easy it is to break.
Yeah, I see that anyone who's looking at Terminators is going Apothecary, and then they have Apothecary Terminators that bring back Terminators.
Yeah. But I mean, even as simple as, this is probably why I didn't do a Centurion character, Centurion Apothecary.
It doesn't seem as crazy when you've got like the 8-bound leader who brings back 8-bound.
Yeah, but then I guess the thing with an Apothecary in Centurions is it basically gives you 2 extra inches of move. Because if you kill one thing, you just put that one at the end of the line, so you got 2 extra inches, which for Centurions is a lot.
Plus your base size, so it's more like 4 inches.
Well, yeah, so you basically have your base size, you move one base from the back, it dies, and then you put it at the front, and you've gained that 50 mil. Because some of these, like, one of them is, it's the or feel no pain against psychic attacks. No one's taking that.
Yeah, probably not. No, that's from the librarian.
When you have, a Centurion Chaplain +1 to hit in melee, or +1 to wound in melee.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the librarian has sustained hits because it takes the rule from the Terminator librarian. Then you can add on the lieutenant's lethal hits. There's sustained and lethal. It can't be on a 5+ because the triggering on a 5+ is a Black Templar thing, and they can't take Psychers.
Yeah. It feels like the cooler thing with it is being able to lead different things. Like, being able to lead Inceptors is fun. Being able to put more things into, like, Gravis stuff is fun. Or more stuff into Outriders.
Yeah, if you wanted your Gravis Lieutenant, there you go.
Apothecary Biker again.
People are very... Well, I think you can still have that in Legends. Battle Sister players are very happy we can have some character other than Morven Val leading Paragon Warsuits.
Yeah. That's where I think the coolness comes in with this, is being able to lead units that can't normally be led. The actual rules themselves aren't super exciting.
Yeah. Have you seen the Ogryn, the Imperial Guard Ogryn?
I've not seen that one, no. I don't generally like to look at Imperial Guard, it makes me upset. Although Ogryn and Bulgrim are pretty cool.
Yeah. The Ogryn is toughness 3 with 3 wounds.
Ow, what? Is it just because it's attaching to a...
I don't know. I think they just copy and pasted a particular datasheet. The multi-melter for the Battle Sisters is also 24 inches, which was the index range. So you can come from reserves and be in melter range, whereas the other multi-melters are 18-inch range.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff in there.
Yeah.
Because I was looking, because one of the other ones I was looking at is the Drukhari one, right? Because that is cool, because now you get leaders for your
Scourges,
Reavers and your Hellions, that kind of stuff. You can have a Hellion leader. But again, the coolness there is just the fact that you can now lead different things, right? Like, you can now lead a thing that couldn't used to be led.
Yeah.
And probably discover why they didn't make leaders from the first place, because, again,
a
Centurion with lethal hits or a Centurion that can have +1 to wound in melee is terrifying.
It may be a lot of the, how do you sell a miniature for this? I mean, they used to do it. They used to say you could have an Archon, it's like 3rd edition Dark Eldar, Archon or Dracon could be on a bike. And there was a whole build your own character situation. So this is all nothing new. It's just new for this edition. And if you're new to the game, it's like, wow, this is cool and interesting and fun. And like, yeah, it is. The rules for this are quite hard to follow because I keep getting comments of like, you can do this amazing thing. And so many people get it wrong. They forgot to add points for weapons after the second one. You forget that you don't get the character keyword. So if you want a Biophagus, your own special homemade Biophagus, they don't have the Biophagus keyword. So they can't help you in the Biosactic Brood search. You can't add enhancements.
Yeah, but there are some cool things you can do. Like, again, I'm looking at the Drukhari one. Technically, you could have a Hellion with Demiclaves, which is the Incubi weapon, which is cool.
Well, yeah.
Or you could actually have
right?
I guess you could have an Incubi with a Hellglaive, right? Yeah, there's no restriction on that. So the Lance sustained hits 1 weapon that you normally get on a Hellion, you can give to a foot guy, which is cool.
I like that.
There are some combinations there, like there's some stuff that can lead Scourges now, which just kind of makes Scourges a little bit more terrifying. But again, it's just one of those ones where it's like, I don't know, it's hard to do this in a way that has like full creativity unless you had like everything pointed in a way like, like you're making a D&D character. Like each point of wounds is like X amount of point.
They did that for the Anvil of Apotheosis for Age of Sigmar, though. So we know it can be done. It's like get some extra wounds, that cost extra points. Or you can have a dog. The dog is extra points, but not as many points as a dragon as a pet. I can put a list together of all the ways this is like easy to break. Or I can give you some interesting examples now. Let's have that. So you can make a better Sanctus than the Sanctus Sniper for the Genestealer cult because you can make a Sanctus that has both the knife and the sniper rifle, and you've got your pick of elusive, so you can reactive move 6 inches when an enemy moves within 9 inches, or have Shadow Killer, so as long as you're not part of a unit, then you can't be hit by Overwatch, or be part of a unit, and you have the Nexus ability of -1 command point. Add in Blessed Venom, and that's anti-infantry 3+, and your unit is better at killing infantry than they would be with a Biophagus. And that only costs 10 points more than a Sanctus. If you wanted a Jackal Alphas, but to be by themselves, have the Cult Gorilla. Put them on a dirt cycle, give them 3 hand flamers and a better sniper than what they would normally have. And by sniper rifle, I mean mining laser. The Primus only gives you +1 to hit these days. If you have the Cult Insurrectionist, that gives you the full rerolls to hit. You could attach them to a large block of Neophytes and have full rerolls to hit. Or you could attach them to Aberrants with the Shepherd of the Blessed option. You can make a better Benefactus than the Benefactus. Drop their stupid once per game, get an invulnerable save of a 4+ for just that model, and gain a good combat weapon knife, the same psychic brain shot, the same biohorror disruption, so ranged weapons in the unit have lethal hits, and have a free once per turn leave and return uppy downy ability. Though it's only once per game, that's good, and is the same points as a Benefactus. The Adeptus Sororitas can have a pretty cheap character for the Repentia, an inspiring devotee. They're an absolver of sin, so they can join Repentia, and they have Shield of the Righteous, so all the Repentia have a 4+ invulnerable save. And what was that unit ability again? Whenever you do an act of faith, the dice becomes a 4. I think we'll be passing quite a few invulnerable saves on this Repentia unit, especially in the Army of Faith. Have a Reliquant Knight to lead your Paragon Warsuits, have a Heavy Bolter, and a Multi-Melter, a 24-inch Multi-Melter at that, and 2 Inferno pistols, and as a vehicle, you can fire all of the weapons, including pistols. Have Divine Authority for rerolling hit rolls of 1, and with the +1 to hit and wound that you get when you're in a Paragon Warsuit unit against vehicles and monsters, you will hit on a 2+ and reroll hit rolls of 1. Also, there's a Cherub for the unit. Also, you reroll advance and charge rolls, and that is 115 points. 70 points cheaper than Morven Val. If you can build it, you can play it.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways definitely to make it break. Cool idea. I'd love to see it expanded. It's nice to have something new at the end of 10th. It's fun to kind of have this experiment stuff, and it means that a lot of the models which have cool conversions can actually now have cool stuff. Like, you know, you could actually have lightning claws on stuff.
Yeah, lightning claws I saw, which isn't great when the character that they usually go on for the Space Marines gives themselves rerolls to wound once per turn. But never mind.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, so then the complaint is, what if this doesn't continue into 11th edition? What if I make a character, or there's a fun, cool thing, and then they take it away, and then they bring it back and expect us to praise them for it?
I guess they've already kind of done that anyway, right? Like
Again, yeah, but they might do it again.
They might do it again. I mean, maybe. It depends what they do with what they want to do with this system. Because if this system is... this system is relatively simple. If they wanted to just port this to 11th, it would not be hard.
Yeah.
Even though I know nothing about what's happening in 11th, I would assume that if not much of a change, they just go, okay, take all of the rules that we get for our characters, put them on one table, take all of the weapons, put them on another table, take all of the specialisms, put them on a third table. There you go. Now you can make your own character. And
I'm wondering if they do this in maybe not base 40k, but something like that in base 40k. So if we have, we need a lieutenant in Reaver armor, and a 1 in Gravis armor, and a 1 in Tacticus armor. Something like this, where you take the character and then you add a specialism for a set number of points, could be a way to do it. It saves them making 12 different data sheets for a lieutenant. Yeah. I don't think they'll do that, because they want to have, you buy this model, it has this special rule, this ability. If you want this special ability, which is really, really cool and the best ability, you have to buy this specific model for tournaments.
I think the thing with the current Crucible of Champions is just a case of, you are a character that already exists, but it's slightly different armor now. So you are a Tech Marine with a jump pack. You are a Apothecary in Gravis armor.
Or a Terminator armor. I mean, we already have Apothecary in Gravis armor. That was a whole new thing for this edition.
An Apothecary on a bike. But I think the thing is that the characters that are cool are stuff like the Apothecary Biologus or the Combi Lieutenant, which have unique things which you don't really get with this.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
On the flip side of that, if you had like here's the Combi Lieutenant rule that you could then put on
As
other
an option
things,
for
suddenly it becomes
a lone operative
very
captain who can't be the
well, you
warlord.
can do that. Yeah, you can do that
in Crusade.
Shadowback Talon anyway, right?
Oh yes, and Shadowback Talon. Yeah.
There could be more to do with it, but to do that would be an extra step of work. I'm not sure it would be something that they do going from 10th to 11th. This is a good baseline.
It could just be expanded on where, hey, here's like 3 more archetypes. We're done.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm looking forward to finding if there's a tournament that allows these. I can see some tournaments saying, as long as you can build it to show all of the weapons, it's all good, you can play it.
Yeah. I think there is definitely some like more fun type ones that aren't as kind of intertwined with the kind of ranking system that would definitely allow this. There would definitely be events that allow this. So like I can imagine events that are kind of like, we get together, we do kind of standard mission rules, but there's a little bit of fun to it. Like you allow legends, that kind of thing. This would be a place where these would work really well. But I think the problem is if you start allowing this in tournaments, what will happen was kind of what happened with 9th edition with the fact that you can kind of make your own detachments where they go, okay, what's the best combo?
Yeah.
That one.
It is then found out online within 1 week. Everyone then wants to play that particular combo because it's the best one. Yeah. And it's less about, well, you're then adding the tournament mindset to a customizable character. So it isn't, I have this cool guy who's got a sword and I want to represent the sword, whereas every other model in that unit normally has a spear. I want my sword to be special. Instead, it's, okay, gamers, here's the OP build for this character, for this unit that's going to floor the tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, tournament players want that, but having seen some people's homebrews, like, narrative players want that too. When you've seen enough Chapter Master, Henry Cavillion, the Death Lord of the Space Marine Death Boys, with his 20 wounds and damage 6 profile on every weapon, and he moves 26 inches, and he costs 100 points. When you've seen enough of those, you understand that people just want to feel powerful.
And they want to be, the self-insert character. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, whether that power comes from the list building interacting in a weird way, or the power comes from a power fantasy, people just want to feel cool and special.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm here for, is to make sure that none of you feel cool and special, because no one is cool and special.
Great. Or with these rules, everyone can be cool and special, in which case, no one is.
Yeah, books.
Books.
Books and rules.
And we can talk more about books and rules in this video if you haven't already seen it or heard it. If you have already heard it, listen to it again. You listen through all of this, you might as well listen a bit longer. I know you're painting models. You've got time.
And then, once you've listened to that one, come back to this one, listen to it again, and get stuck in a loop.
And that only ends when all of your models are painted. Oh, yes. I'm going to be fantastically wealthy, Paul, from all of this ad revenue.
All of your models as well, not just the ones you're working on right now. Your entire pile of shame will only be finished, and you will only have to listen to this video and the other video that's linked back and forth until it's done. I'm going to go do some Japan things now, in Japan.
And I'm going to do English things in England.
Sumimasen. Goodbye.
Well done. Sayonara. Ohanma. Yomandes. Subarashi. Sutichio. Sugoshi kudasai.